My hair started falling out. I was so stressed out by all the holiday events, the blended family dynamics. My nervous system was so dysregulated, it was like a runaway train. And that's the thing about the holidays. You've got more coming at you. And when load exceeds capacity, your body shifts gears for you. And then you're in survival mode, and it seems hard, if not impossible, to be the person you want to be. Especially if you're a woman over 40, your hormones are changing, so your body is responding differently to stress. You need better strategies and an understanding of your nervous system to reclaim your power, your agency, your confidence, and your clarity this holiday season. So today I'm going to explain why stress escalates during the holidays. There is a predictable pattern and 3 strategies for de-escalating that stress that doesn't take a lot of time or require you to go off into silence and solitude. I'll teach you Nervous System 101 so you know why these strategies work, what to do if they're not working, why it sometimes feels like you're on a runaway train with your nervous system, and why your alter ego might hijack you. Lastly, we'll talk about how to keep slips from becoming spirals that you can't get out of. Let's dive in. So here's the problem. The holidays are like an annual predictable stress test. They teach you a lot about your window of tolerance. That can be overwhelming and disheartening information, or you can start to treat it like a game. I respond much better when it's a game. So here are the stakes. This is why stress gets escalated during the holidays. Your body codes uncertainty as threat. And during the holidays, there's just a lot more uncertainty. From travel and logistics, to family circumstances, to finances, to grief and loss, there is always a lot going on. With increased uncertainty, your body and nervous system starts telling your brain, and this is the brainstem, the lizard part of the brain, so below conscious thought, that it should be on alert, maybe even vigilant. And this is how you become more anxious, more reactive, more hypervigilant. There's more uncertainty everywhere in the air, from the parking lot to the grocery store to your home. So there's more and more be on alert signals being sent from your body and your nervous system to your brain. So your brain starts looking for reasons to be on high alert. There's a great saying in polyvagal theory that story follows state. The story you're telling, the thoughts you're thinking, your inner narrative is a reflection of your nervous system. Then, once the mind has a hold of it, now your thinking is reinforcing the internal state too. So your body nervous system sends signals to your brain, be on alert, be vigilant, look for threats, and then you start looking for threats, telling stories about those threats, and that reinforces the internal state, which reinforces the thinking, and around and around and around we go. Here's an example. Let's say you have a mother-in-law, sister-in-law, aunt who's a little bit mean, and she happens to be staying with you over the holidays. There's increased uncertainty, increased vigilance, increased anxiety. You're more likely to see and perceive threats and criticism, and it starts to snowball inside of you and all around you. Eventually, you're hiding in your room and counting down the minutes till they leave. That's just one example, but this tendency for the uncertainty to become vigilance and that to become a self-fulfilling prophecy can happen all over the place with the holidays. So how do we stop that snowball? How do we create something different? How do we reclaim ourselves and the person we want to be? Here are 3 ways to de-escalate holiday stress quickly. Number 1 is breathing. The rhythm of your breathing influences your nervous system. As you start to become more vigilant, more anxious, your breathing is going to get shallower, chest-driven, and it's going to reinforce that stressed state. So the quick fix is inhale through the nose and then exhale through pursed lips like you're breathing through a straw. elongating your exhale is a fast and effective way to influence your nervous system and imprint more of that calm, cool, content ventral vagal state. Now, often students say, when I'm stressed out and I think about breathing, I just get more stressed out and anxious. If that's you, go to strategy number 2, moving. Moving is another powerful way to influence your nervous system, and often your moving will reset your breathing. There are lots of movement strategies. Probably the biggest bang for your buck and the easiest one is walking. The side-to-side eye movement when you're walking tamps down the amygdala, the fear response. So it's going to help you get out of that hypervigilant state. The bilateral movement and rhythm of your walking will also start to calibrate and balance your breathing, which will calibrate and balance the branches of your nervous system. There are many other options for moving, but walking is often the easiest to access, and it gives you big benefits with low energy expenditure and time commitment. Strategy number 3 is micro pauses. This can be a few rounds of intentional breathing, a pause in your car before you go into the house, go into the store, go to the event. It can also be a pause to feel what you're feeling, that tightness in your chest, that lump in your throat, the flutteriness in your belly. Feeling what you're feeling is different than thinking about what you're feeling. I'm often trying to talk myself out of what I'm feeling when I'm thinking about my feelings, or finding some reason for why I'm feeling how I'm feeling, which is all the mind trying to figure out the state, the story, trying to figure out the state of the nervous system. And it is not feeling your feelings. The funny thing about feeling your feelings is that when you do that, the energy often releases. It just dissipates. That tightness in your chest, if you actually feel it, it will go away quickly rather than being with you for days. Studies show that feelings only last for about 90 seconds. It's our unwillingness to be with them or our stories about them that perpetuates the feelings and keeps us stuck. For example, if I'm feeling irritated or frustrated, rather than just feel that itchy, scratchy sensation in my body, I will often fight it. Instead, I'll tell stories about why I shouldn't feel that way, or whose fault it is that I feel that way, or I'm a bad person for thinking those things. Then, not only have I not felt the feeling, dealt with the thing, now I'm adding a whole bunch of baggage to it. So these micro pauses are opportunities for a quick reset, intentional breathing, moments of silence, spaces to feel your feelings. Here's the best news. None of these strategies require you to go anywhere or do anything for long periods of time. You can do the breathing while you're cooking. You can take a quick walk around your neighborhood or dance in your bathroom. You can set a timer and sit in your car for 2 minutes to clear your mind and clear out your heart. Let's talk about why these work. Think of this as Nervous System 101. When you hear nervous system, it's your autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is controlling things below conscious thought, like heart rate, blood pressure, digestion, all those things you don't even want to think about. Your autonomic nervous system has 2 main branches. The first one is commonly called fight or flight, the sympathetic pathway. The second branch is the parasympathetic pathway, you're cool, calm, and content. Now, the parasympathetic pathway is mostly your vagus nerve. And your vagus nerve has 2 branches itself. There's the upper portion called the ventral vagal and the lower portion called the dorsal vagal. The important thing to remember is when the ventral vagal pathway is open, you are open. You are receptive, you are connecting, you feel safe, and you can be social. When you're under stress and your system feels like it's under threat, it will shut down the ventral vagal pathway, and then you are shut down too. This is when you go into fight or flight and the sympathetic pathway. This could look like go, 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 do, 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 busyness, or running away, hiding, numbing out. And if that doesn't work, if fighting or fleeing doesn't decrease the perceived threat, your body will go into numbness, shutdown, dissociation, despair, depression. Here's the shorthand. Ventral vagal is openness, willingness, receptivity. Sympathetic is something's wrong, something's not quite right. I have to be on guard. Dorsal vagal is shut down. I can't even be here in my body. And the important thing to remember is that your body is shifting gears for you below conscious thought. So you're not choosing to go into these pathways, your body chooses for you. What you can do is bottom up body-based practices that reset and recalibrate your nervous system consistently so you keep that ventral vagal pathway open. And the practices we discussed earlier, breathing, moving, micro pauses, do just that. They help you reset quickly, imprint your nervous system with calm, and keep you from getting hijacked by your nervous system or one of your parts. Have you ever noticed that when you get really stressed out, it's like a different version of you emerges? There is a therapeutic modality called internal family systems, and it helps us understand our parts. This system says that inside of you, there are different versions, different parts, different aspects. There's always a self, a version of you that's watching and observing. The yoga tradition calls this Purusha, your witnessing awareness or higher self. It's the aspect of you that can observe rather than absorb what's going on. This higher self is only available through the ventral vagal pathway. So as soon as the ventral vagal goes offline, so does this witnessing awareness. And that's when you can get hijacked by your stress response or your shutdown response. And often there's a whole personality that comes with those stress responses. These are just coping mechanisms, often picked up way long ago. When you know this, you're more likely to see it when it's happening. You can have more compassion around it, and you can respond more strategically. So when you feel one of your parts taking over, breathe, move, micropause. For example, I have a part in me I call the secretary. She likes to manage things and be in control, and all the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted. She got very stirred up when I got married and suddenly had 2 bonus kids, and life was significantly less controllable and manageable than I had ever experienced. You might have a version of you that is deeply wounded by something that happened long ago, or a version of you that gets very angry when something's not in your control. We all have these different parts. When we can see them and respond to them, we actually integrate them and we become more whole because of them. When you understand these different layers of your nervous system and how they can trigger these different parts, you see the way you're being, the way you're talking, the way you're moving as signs and signals to the state of your nervous system. And then if you want to shift your nervous system, you have strategies to do that. Breathe, move, micropause. On to our last part, how to keep slips from becoming spirals. Anytime you slip, you're out of your window of tolerance. The window of tolerance is where your ventral vagal pathway is open, where you still have access to self. Outside of your window of tolerance, you start to slip into stress responses, either the sympathetic fight or flight, or the dorsal vagal shutdown. Your parts start to take over. Maybe it's your manager or your controller or your fire-breathing dragon. Maybe it's your hiding, crying, falling into a well of despair part. But when you know this, those slips, those moments, you can catch them and then do something about them. To keep the slip from becoming a spiral, do not beat yourself up. Do not add any taglines or try to talk yourself out of what you're feeling. Instead, as quickly and efficiently as possible, go to one of your strategies: breathing, moving, or micro pauses. In other words, don't be Chicken Little. When something happens, resist thinking that the sky is falling, that you failed, that you're never going to get back on track. Instead, little steps in the right direction can quickly and efficiently shift your nervous system. But the steps need to be body-based, bottom up. 80% of your vagus nerves goes from your body to your brain. only 20% from your brain back to your body. So use your body to shift your nervous system. You cannot think your way out of these feelings. Often your thinking is a reflection of your state, so it just perpetuates the state you're in. When you know these things, you have more power and agency over your state of being. So let's wrap up. The holidays are a predictable annual stress test. Stress escalates quickly because there are higher levels of uncertainty, and your body and nervous system codes uncertainty as threat. This can put you in a vicious cycle of vigilance and anxiety, and then your story is reinforcing your state. The way out of this pattern is to de-escalate and recalibrate your nervous system as often as possible. You can do this quickly and easily through your breathing, through moving, and through micropausing. These work because they'll help your ventral vagal pathway stay open. When this is open, you are open, you're receptive, you have access to your prefrontal cortex. When the ventral vagal pathway is shut down and closed, you are closed, and you're going to slip into fight or flight or numbness and shutdown. When you're in fight or flight, numbness and shutdown, a different version of you emerges. Use awareness of your nervous system, the different version of you that is showing up, and your thoughts to assess where you are and respond appropriately. When you respond to the slips, you keep it from becoming a spiral. It can even be a staircase for you to expand your capacity and widen your window of tolerance. If you want to learn more, there's a companion podcast on overwhelm. If you want to practice, we have a vagus nerve mini course in the 20-Minute Miracles app. If you want one-on-one support, every quarter, I work with 2 women to build strength inside and out. This is with your body, but also your nervous system. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. May this be your strongest holiday season yet.